Yo, what's up, guys? I'm back at you with another video. So tonight, I just wanted to drop a couple things on you about the spiritual narc. Maybe just a few things to just give you some resources to think about or ways to spot a spiritual narc. Okay, so basically, a spiritual narc is somebody that uses like spiritual or religious teachings to manipulate or exploit people who are seeking to belong. Because part of the one of the things about our spiritual journey is that we look for people to resonate with. And just like there are amazing people that you will meet on your journey, you also have to be aware of the ones who aren't so amazing, right? Now, the thing is about the spiritual narcissist is that they'll sometimes be very grandiose, like, boasting and bragging about all their knowledge all the time and just have this really huge flair about them. Now, sometimes they'll be pretty covert, just like using mind fucking to get you to submit to them. Now, some of the things that spiritual narcissists say when they feel threatened or at their just lowest form, some of the things they like to do, rather, they like to victim blame. They like to make you feel like any abuse or trauma you've suffered at the hands of sometimes them and others is somehow your fault. They don't believe in accountability. And so sometimes a spiritual narc will say stuff like to you, the only reason low vibrational people are attracted to you is because it's something in you that's low vibrational. But then that eliminates the law of duality, because the law of duality states that there will be both types of people on both ends of the spectrums. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're operating at a low frequency. The spiritual narc knows how to seek out people who are very vulnerable or very kind. That's why they say that narcissists are very attracted to empaths, because empaths have this like very loving, nurturing energy about them. And doesn't all people like good, caring people? People that look out for you, care for you, nurture you. All people like those types of people, even fucked up people or people with fucked up intentions, rather. So it's really biased to say that it's really one-dimensional thinking to me to say that you only attract bad experiences because that's what you're on. Now, granted, there are times when we are not in alignment with our higher selves, and we will attract those things into our lives. But we also have to be mindful to not be gaslit into thinking that every time someone else does something, it's because you attracted that. We all have free will. So just be mindful of that. Now, another thing that spiritual narcs do, and just toxic spirituality to me as well, is they always try to make you feel like any feelings that you experience or have that aren't always love and light means that you are negative. If you express something that doesn't make you comfortable or that hurts you, they, come on, man, just talk positive. Just, like sometimes we experience all types of emotions because we have to experience that. And we can't just suppress that and hold that in to seem spiritual. Spiritual is feeling everything, every part of you, your higher self, your lower self. You have to feel all of that. It's not just like, oh, pretend to be happy, pretend something's not bothering you. That can create a whole nother thing on a mental health level. So, don't pay attention to that. You should always be able to express whatever it is that you're feeling, especially if you're coming from a very centered and like, yo, this is what's hurting me or this is what's bothering me type of way. it shouldn't be any problems. But sometimes they'll say those things to you because it's either triggering something in them that they do and they don't want to face that, or because some people just get uncomfortable when you're not always love and light. But that's dangerous, because if you never identify the shadow aspects of things, you're more susceptible to being manipulated and exploited by spiritual narcs. So don't let those types of people tell you that what you're feeling isn't love and light. Now, the next thing is they like to say stuff like, if you were really spiritual, etc., etc. You know, they love to say, like, if you were really spiritual, you wouldn't set boundaries. You wouldn't cuss. You wouldn't eat a certain way or dance a certain way, dress a certain way, speak up for yourself a certain way. They love to do that. That's like a huge spiritual gaslight right there, when people tell you if you were really spiritual. When we all know, like, spirituality is so colorful. You don't always have to just be one way to be considered spiritual. Spirituality is just who we are. It's our default. We're just now being waking up or coming online to certain things about our spirituality as we, learn and grow. So don't ever let anybody tell you, if you was really spiritual, oh, you wouldn't dress like that. Or, that's some bull to me. Now, another thing that I've been seeing lately occur is sexual exploitation by so-called spiritual leaders or gurus or whatever they want to call themselves. And to me, that's when, like, they always play on your sexuality to make you feel like you should be submitting to them or listening to their teachings or going to them for healing. Like, everything is about sex for them. And that's how you mess around and get those sex demons on you, by playing around with people like that, because they're low vibrational. They probably do that with so many people, got so many bodies and spirits on them, it's ridiculous. So they always want to do that. Or they do the other end of the spectrum, where they tell you that you using your sexuality for power, or you just honing your sexuality and not being afraid of it, is low vibrational. They can flip it, and the spiritual narc sometimes flips it either way, as long as it gets them whatever they want. So you got to be mindful of that. Someone that tries to shame you for your sexual energy or your sexual power, that's weak. Now, another one that they like to do is demonize you for having your own philosophy on subjects that they feel they are like the authority of. These are the people that, like, you can't even have a peaceful exchange with them, because it's all about their way, their way, their way. They're not even open to hearing a different perspective on anything, because there again, your perspective may call them out on some shit. So the spiritual narc is never going to sit and listen to what your philosophy is on life or spirituality or how you govern yourself. They're going to always try to, like, impose their way on you. Now, then another thing they like to do is sometimes they like to try to have like a cult-like following, and that goes back to, like, not allowing anybody else to have their own perspective. It's like everybody just has to be like a drone, a zombie or some shit under their control. They also feel threatened by your power. So the spiritual narc is never going to give you tools to build yourself up. The spiritual narc is never going to, like, teach you things that will, basically empower you, because they feel like if they teach you things that will empower you, then you could run the risk of becoming more powerful than them. And that's the last thing that they want. They always have to have the upper hand. They're not going to tell you how to heal yourself, because they want you to be dependent on them. So it gets kind of tricky in that area too sometimes. And so one of the last things that they like to do is they like to use like spiritual or religious threats, if you're not listening to them or whatever, like, well, you gonna go to hell if you don't do this, or the Bible says you're supposed to be like this, or I'ma hex you if you don't listen to me or call me back or be up under me, like little shit like that. They like to do those things to make you feel like they're more powerful than you, so that you will always be living in fear when it comes to them. You know what I mean? So I know some of you guys are like new on your journey. You've asked me for just little tips here and there. So this is just one of the videos that I thought about giving to you guys tonight. So I believe that's it. If you have any other signs or things that you've experienced, you can drop them in the comments, guys. And I love you always. Sending you love, peace, and balance.